Move to approve.
Oh, there we go.
Move to approve.
Alder,
Second.
second by Matt. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed,
Gary,
no-
can I back you up one, just to do a quick roll call, make it official?
Oh, whoop, went too fast.
That's
Absolutely.
okay. That's all right. Delvo,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Dorf,
Here.
Dean,
Here.
Hinkfist,
Yes.
Parma, not here, and Reardon.
Yes.
Okay,
Excellent.
all right, we're good, sir.
Regular business, number one, consideration, but with possible action on a resolution authorizing the sale and issuance of $27,915,000 of taxable revenue refunding bonds, Series 2021, KI Convention Center Expansion Project, approving the execution of related documents and other details. All right, this is.
Absolutely. Mr. Chair, I'd like to turn that over to Mr. Todd Taves for a brief report from Ellers, if I could.
Thank you, Neil. And with your permission, I'd like to share my screen.
Excellent. Do we need to make a motion to open up the meeting? We really haven't done that officially.
I move to open the floor.
Okay,
Second.
second by Matt, Olderdorf, second, and my Matt, motion by Olderdorf, second by Matt, all in favor, saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, the motion, the floor is open. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Thank you. So in August, we were before you and you authorized us to move forward with offering bonds for the refinancing of the 2013 RDA bonds that were originally issued for the KI Center expansion. We sold those bonds this morning, and a very quick summary, and then I'll dive just into a little bit of detail on a couple aspects. The final par amount of the bonds that was sold today is $27,860,000, and that corresponds to the updated resolution you received. The bonds were purchased by Baird, and I would mention that we have John Meehan on the call as well, representing Baird, and he can certainly chime in with any additional comments he may have or field any questions. The final interest rate is 2.837, and just as by means of comparison, the interest rate on the original bonds was just a shade under 6%, so we're cutting that more than in half.
Wow.
The final future value savings was close to $8.8 million. So just to cover a little bit why that bond size changed. So whenever we go to market, it's always initially an estimate. We had a couple dynamics. First of all, the interest rates were better than we had forecasted. That resulted in the debt service reserve requirement dropping. We also received favorable bids for the securities that funded the defeasance escrow. So that similarly reduced the requirement. And there was also, whenever we plan, we are conservative. So in terms of final costs of issuance, those were significantly lower than the estimate as well. So when that is all taken into consideration, along with the fact that we had an additional expense in the way of bond insurance, which we decided to purchase in order to gain more favorable pricing, it all ends up resulting in an ability to reduce the bond size by $55,000. However, you still end up with all the proceeds that are needed to execute the refinancing. In terms of the final savings, on the left is the existing debt service prior to the refinancing. This issue completely defeases all of the remaining 2013 bonds. So after closing, all that will exist are the new bonds. Not the estimated, but the final savings is in the far right column. And the total was actually about 9.1 million. However, what we're doing is we're taking the existing monies in the debt service reserve that you have on hand at Associated, we apply those to the transaction, and the new debt service requirement, as I mentioned, is smaller by 321,000. So we don't really treat that as a savings because it's really your own money in the existing account that is being applied to reduce the issue size. So when we factor that out, we're back then to that 8.7 million that I had mentioned at the beginning. That is about $1.7 million higher than we had estimated back in August. And there are a couple reasons for that. Firstly, we did make the decision as a finance team to go to Standard and Poor's instead of Moody's. The existing bonds were rated A2 by Moody's. The reason we decided to go to Standard and Poor's is they take a little bit different approach in their methodology. And what Moody's does is this type of a security, they will always benchmark it 2 notches below the city's GO rating. Standard and Poor's does not take that approach. And in this particular case, they determined that the credit could be at the same level as what the city would be. So we had a AA minus Standard and Poor's rating, which substantially improved the pricing. And we also, as I mentioned, made the decision to purchase bond insurance. And that's simply an analysis of whether we think the pricing advantage with insurance outweighs the cost of the premium that is paid. And in this case, it made sense to do that. One other thing I would mention is, as we had discussed in August, included within the proceeds of this bond are the monies needed to make the December 1st, 2021 interest payment. As we know, there will not be sufficient funds in the room tax stabilization fund to make that payment. So we included as part of the refinancing so the city will not need to appropriate those monies from any other source to make the lease payment to the RDA. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I'd also, just as a side note, would mention that, this was an interesting pricing this morning in the sense that it's somewhat of a unique security and you never know where the investor appetite is going to be. And so we went through a couple iterations, but Baird did end up stepping up and taking about $3 million of unsold bonds into inventory, which allowed us to finalize the sale today. So I appreciate that. And I would also just give John an opportunity to add anything he might like to mention.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Todd, thank you. I think you covered everything so well. Just a couple of comments. One is that the Standard & Poor's rating, not only did it achieve a better level, but by getting into the AA's as opposed to the A2, the cost of the bond insurance dropped in half. They dropped dramatically. So that was significant in the math. Knowing that room taxes are really the primary source of revenue to pay this, you could see how investors were a little bit reticent. They were saying, well, what's going on with the room taxes? Where they're going to go in the future? So as a team, the finance team worked very hard to lay out the history of the room tax over the past good years and bad years of 2020 and how things are rebounding so nicely. So that was attractive to be able to share that with investors. And at the end of the day, we have about 13 plus different investors. We're talking about mutual funds, money market funds, insurance companies and banks who actually came in with orders for different maturities. The first 10 years weren't as difficult. The farther you go out, let's face it, who's buying bonds that with a 3% maturity 20 years from now? Taxable bonds. So, I mean, that made it somewhat of a challenge to get people to step up and buy them. So the combination of things, but I think, let's not forget the name of Green Bay is a great name. It's a strong name. They beat the Bears. That goes a long way. All those kind of things. So all in all, I would say it was a great finance team. People worked hard. I think credit to Todd and his folks. We were scheduled to really bring this to market about a month from now in laying out the calendar. And the team all, pulled up their pants and worked hard at it to get it to market now. Why? Because I don't know where rate's going to be from a month from now. So we locked them in today.
Good.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Good idea. Well, the betting person, they are not going to be going down, but I'm just saying. Very good. Questions, comments?
Just curious, will you be here for the city council meeting a while? Are you going to be staying, for the people from Ehlers? Are they going to be staying?
Yes, I will.
Okay, that's good, because we have two of us are in the room, 2 council members are in the room, but others would love to hear this delightful news, I think, directly from you. So this is really great news. Thank you.
Certainly.
And if I read that graph right, the end date for the final payment really hasn't changed. Is that correct?
That's
That's
correct.
correct.
Okay, good. We just improved the rate immensely. Thank you. Others, questions, comments?
I think it's outstanding that we can refinance and, ultimately in the long run, save millions of dollars. So it's a big win. And thank you very much.
Good strategy.
Yes.
If there are no other questions for our guest, I'll make a motion, entertain a motion to go back to regular order of business. But please, if you got other questions or comments, please make them. Matt, got any thoughts?
No, I would certainly make that motion that we go back to regular order of business, Gary.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Alder Dorf. All those in favor, saying aye.
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 All right, we're back to regular order of business. Now, is there any questions or comments in regard to staff or anybody else?
No, I would move to approve this resolution authoring the sale and issuance of $27,915,000 for the taxable lease revenue refunding bonds, Series 2021 KI Convention Center expansion project.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion by Alder Dorf, second by Matt. Questions and comments in regard to the motion?
Mr. Chair, just want to make sure that the motion reflects the current and updated sale number
Oh,
as presented, so.
Right, yes, you're right. As compared with what the agenda said, it's a little bit different. You're right. Good point.
I'll add that to my motion that the current and updated sale number is included in this motion.
Thank you, Alder.
Adam, sure you agrees with that.
Where's the second? I need the second.
Oh, Matt, second. I don't think.
Okay.
And again,
Okay.
second.
Debbie, did you have a question or comment?
I do not.
Okay. If not, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Excellent job. Thanks for everyone's efforts. Very much appreciated. Very good.
Thank you.
All right, the other thing on the agenda, consideration with possible action regarding a development agreement regarding the future redevelopment and reuse of the property located at 216 South Military Avenue. Neil.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Obviously, folks recall we presented a general terms sheet to the RDA here back in September. I believe we've had several conversations with the Martins and in terms of their plans for the site. Went back and forth a couple times. You thought we were going to proceed with the development agreement. Then we thought maybe for a while we weren't, but now we are again, which is great. It's hopefully this is what the intention was and what was previously presented and discussed with the RDA. So a draft of that agreement has been attached for your review and discussion at this point. Essentially, I kind of mentioned a little bit beforehand. We mentioned that we're bringing this forward, certainly in terms of out of respect, certainly for the Martins and their schedule, but also to make sure that we make the first council meeting in November, as there wasn't going to be a regularly scheduled meeting later in November. So we wanted to make sure that this was far enough along to present to RDA here on this. It does, so the draft has been presented. It's been reviewed very preliminary and by our team. It's been forwarded to the Martins. We know that there's probably going to be a few changes that will need to be made to the agreement prior to it going to council on the 2nd. So we're aware of that, but at least wanted to see if there was any other further feedback and suggest, as long as there wasn't a major change to what was presented, we would, felt comfortable enough bringing it forward and asking for us authorization essentially to proceed to the city council then on November 2nd. So essentially, just to recap very briefly, the main tenet of the agreement is granting the temporary use of as defined in the agreement in exchange for a kind of conceptual redevelopment plan moving forward for the rest of the site. So that's the nickel version essentially of what the agreement states. So certainly available to answer any questions.
That's
correct. That's correct, Neil. And this afternoon, I believe Ted signed an offer to purchase for, in theory, to put up the winter housing.
Okay.
Which is great news. We satisfied all those conditions, and then he has to go through the due diligence. So that's one option. The second option.
Wait, should I make a motion to open the floor?
Yeah, please.
I need to do that. Sorry. I move to open the floor.
Motion on Alder Dorf, open the floor.
Second.
Second by Kathy. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Yes. I was
Go ahead, Ed.
Remember Ted, or we talked to Ted over the phone today, and we worked out he signed an offer to purchase that basically he can bring it forward and do his due diligence and see if it'll make it work, and it'd be a great opportunity for that corner. So we do have an offer to purchase from Ted to do his due diligence. In addition to that, we're also, if that doesn't work out, we're also looking for retail sites, retail pods in front of the next to Military Avenue to shield the
Next to me, tree.
Shopko store for the next 5 years until something else comes up.
Excellent. And just, yeah, certainly weren't sure that was gonna be ready for prime time or not, Ed, so I'm glad you said that. Just the folks, so this, when you first to Ted, that's Mr. Ted Mackham at Gorman Company, looking at, has a nice project that they're considering locating on the frontage between the existing building and Military Avenue on kind of one of the corners of the site. So staff is aware of it and has seen that, but was certainly aware that there was going on regarding that project. So as Mr. Martin said, that would be kind of, I guess, option one in terms of the redevelopment plan for the site that would go.
That'd
They're
be
also considering it.
our first option, and I think it's your first option, and hopefully it'll be the option. And otherwise, if it's not, we'll figure out something else.
So,
I very much would like to hear the Martins in regard to their comments in regard to the development agreement. Are you in sync with everything in the development agreement? Please.
Yeah, this is Ryan Cromer. I'm the attorney for the Martins here. We've reviewed the development agreement. We have some revisions. They're mostly minor. I think the development agreement contemplates what was approved by the staff, the general plan. Despite the fact that we have an offer that we're pursuing, it doesn't really change the status of where we're at tonight's meeting, because that transaction, isn't going to close. I mean, if it does close, it won't close until well into 2022. And it may not close because the developer has a lot of work to do before they would be able to actually bring that project to fruition. So what we're asking for and what the staff has approved is this development agreement really to allow for those temporary uses while we explore this option as well as other potential options. So despite the fact that we do have a little bit of action going on in the background, we really need to run parallel paths with both the development agreement and the development opportunities.
Okay, good. Alder, did you have a question?
The only question I had was, but I realized this is a draft. So there was that part that was in yellow about, I gotta find it. I think we need to also address training facility uses.
yes.
But then I looked and saw that it was a draft. So I thought, well, you'll bring something else to council probably, right?
Yeah, we're just similar to what has been done for the description that has been for the section right above that. Alder, it would simply be adding a section to just for description for that particular building would be all.
So, yeah.
And we'd be asking that for the developer to provide that for us. So that's not something staff would write. We'd be asking them to provide us a list.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments in regard to the Martins?
Well, our intention is to follow through with the staff's recommendation from Ted. So we're very excited about that. And we want to work closely with the city, and we feel that activity equals activity. And if we can get some activity there, I think you'll be very happy with what that could look like.
Good, very good.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to close the floor. Alder, go ahead, Alder.
No, thank you. I just wanted to make a point. I met with Mr. Martin and also with Alder Vanderleest and Supervisor Evans. And we talked about this project and we felt pretty good about it at the time. So we're just looking forward to working. The Martins have been fabulous tenants along Military Avenue. It's great for business. So I look forward to more of that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Great comments. Thank you.
Nice.
Alder, if you want to make a motion, go back to regular business.
Yes.
I'll second.
Second by Kathy. All those in favor, saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. We are back to regular business. Matt, got some thoughts?
No, just incredibly supportive, Gary, of
Mhm.
this. My hat's off to the Martins. We had a meeting, I don't know, what was it, 6 weeks ago? And they were talking about, this 3-year term and intended use, and we try to find someone. And, here we are before the development agreement. The ink is even dry, and you're talking about now, a signed offer to purchase. I just really appreciate the effort that your team has been putting forward to move this thing forward and generate, really positive activity. So I'm just really impressed and, ready to make a motion.
Kathy, Debbie, got some thoughts?
I'm impressed also, and I think we need to move forward on it. It's a lot of activity down there, and it's good use of the building, and the Martins have a track record in Green Bay, so it'll all work out.
Oh,
Thank you.
Bridget, any thoughts?
I'm on board as well. A huge fan of the Martins, and I know that they are good for their word. So
Yep.
thank you for all your work.
All right. A lot of
Absolutely.
comments. Ready for a motion?
So I'd make the motion then, Gary, that we approve the development agreement subject to final review by the city attorney and developer and forwarding to the city council for final approval on November 2nd, 2021.
I would second.
Okay, motion made by Matt, a second by Bridget. Any other questions or comments? If
We
not-
just want to, this is David. We want Mayor, who's not here, obviously, and Neil for all their work, because they actually made the connection between Ted from Gorman and Company and us, so they should get the credit.
All right, we got no
I want to
problem.
thank Neil and Meryl. Thank you very much.
All right. Motion and second. All those in favor, saying aye.
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 Opposed? Very good, thank you. To the Martins, excellent job. You've been great corporate citizens and great
Mhm.
business people. We look forward to working with you in the future. Fantastic job. I think that's it for the next meeting is November 9th. Any other final comments or questions for staff or Neil or anybody?
None here, sir.
All right. Nice
No,
work.
I think it's been a great meeting. I mean, too big are the bonds, and now it's so very productive.
Kudos to you and the mayor for getting through this
Yeah.
quickly in a short time frame. Because I know I
Thank
saw you in the hall the other day and you were definitely scrambling.
We had to hustle, but that's okay. It's what we're here for. So.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Good luck. You guys will do great. I guess a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Kathy, second by Debbie. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed? Oh, you got your mask on already, Barb. All right, we are out of here. Thank you. Nice
thank you
meeting.
guys.
Have a good night, everyone.
Very productive.
Thanks, everybody. Excellent.